Bert last year, if you remember, he was with Newell Rubbermaid. Bert basically functioned in a marketing and an e-commerce role. He oversaw all of kind of Newell's branding and now has taken a job at Forrester Research. And so what Bert's going to do is Bert's going to talk for 5 minutes on the corporate social media maturity that Forrester put out maybe 18 months ago. But he has some updated information that he's going to want to share with us. Then after that, we're going to turn it over to Teresa Caro. Teresa is with Engage. Engage is one of the leading digital agencies here in Atlanta. She has extensive experience in social CRM, marketing. She just got a kind of a new role in handling email and content. So she's going to take it from there and talk about how Engage adopted Forrester's model into some further categorizations to help us understand how companies can evolve to becoming a social business. And last but not least, we'll turn it over to Adam Nade. Adam, if you remember, if he was here last year, he is the Executive Director of Social Media Marketing for Cox. He's also a cereal lover. So he loves cereal. So if you love cereal and you have any pictures of cereal, tweet to at Adam Nade. He will be quick to respond to your tweets. So this should take 15 minutes. That should take us right up to 3 o'clock. Then after that, we're going to turn the discussion over to you to ask questions. If you want to text your questions, feel free to text it to 404-759-9158. So with that said, Bert, take it away.
Okay, good. So so I joined Forrester 5 weeks ago, and it's been quite a transition, moving from supporting one company and all of its digital marketing, social media, and e-commerce efforts to now I support many clients for Forrester. I was on with a multi-brand customer out of Europe yesterday who has more brands than I can even imagine, over 700 websites as well. So I do a lot of this work to help them with their digital, with their e-commerce, with their social, and how that all integrates together. Social from Forrester's perspective is really interesting. We are moving, and we've been calling this out for a while, into an age of post-digital. And what we mean by post-digital is not a silo anymore, nor is social, nor is e-commerce. It's all part of marketing. And CMOs who are really ahead of the game, or senior marketing executives who really know where they're going, are integrating these into their function. They're not taking out separate sections. They're bringing in the smart people. They're bringing in digital experts, metrics and media and analytics scientists. They're bringing in email marketing specialists. They're bringing in all these different roles and social media marketing specialists and rolling that into the marketing organization. So that's one key facet. And this is kind of looking at from a maturity model ranging from, and Teresa's going to go into much depth about this, of ranging from those who aren't doing anything at all, and there are still companies out there who are really doing very little, to those companies who are actually going forward and empowering not only social media experts in their firms, but all their employees, and also creating communities of brand advocates. So you have this scale, the spectrum that's going on. So in addition to this post-digital world that's kind of wrapping all this in for chief marketing officers and senior marketing executives, there's also this other big trend going on. It's called digital disruption. And I don't know if you've heard about that. There's a lot of discussion about that right now. There's actually a book coming out on it next week. But digital disruption, you've heard from somebody who's a digital disruptor already today from Salesforce.com. They are a digital disruptor to Oracle and SAP. They came in from underneath, and they built and they built and they built from the ground up, and now they're a major competitor to these multi-billion-dollar software companies coming from nowhere. This is happening in all kinds of industries. Look at what Netflix is doing. Look at the new series House of Cards. House of Cards is doing amazing work. That is digitally disrupting the whole world of media right now, even as we speak. So we all have all these different changes going on, and what's going to happen with social is you're either going to be part of an organization that is disrupting through social, through digital, through e-commerce, through product development, through customer experience, or you're going to be on the other end, and you're going to be running as fast as you can to keep up with the disruptors. So there's a lot happening in this space, both from a social end and from a digital end, that are really key to keep track of. And I'll tell you one place where you can get a lot of this information, and it's free just to keep up with what's going on at Forrester. Go to blogs.forrester.com. All the analysts are blogging on this and other topics daily, in fact, multiple posts a day. And they're giving insights into what's going on in each of these different areas. And then you can get down deep into what's happening specifically in social or specifically in e-commerce or mobile and all these different things. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Teresa so that she can go into some depth about the maturity model and what Engage is doing. And I was a client of Engage, so I always was very happy with what they did. So I'll hand it off to her.
Thank you for that plug. We'll pay you later.
Oh, okay, cool.
Starbucks on me. So hi, everyone. I am Teresa Caro. I lead social marketing, email, and analytics for Engage. One of the things that we do with our clients is look at their social maturity. We really enjoy how Forrester looks at it. We use their 5 stages that came out in 2011, and then we apply it to different aspects of their organization. And we look at their current state, and then we look at where they want to be from a desired state perspective, and we put together a roadmap. Now, what's interesting is if you look at different aspects of the organization, you look at how an organization defines their brand, or how they govern social, or how innovation comes along, or content. And you look at all those different facets, and I have my cheat sheet here because it is Friday afternoon after a long week and I can't remember anything at this point. But you look and there's about 7 or 8 different categories, and we look at that across an organization. And their current state may be, in some cases, at really a testing stage, or maybe collaboration, or maybe even further along, but it'll be all over the board. Because social is just one of those things that it was tried out in the PR department or the advertising department, just as something, we know we need a Facebook page, or, oh, hey, Twitter's really great at pushing out press releases. And then it evolved over time in terms of the organization, and depending on the size and how fragmented that organization is in the first place, that's how social sort of evolved. And so we come in and try to gain alignment in all those pieces. One of the interesting things as we go through this process is, let's take governance, for example. So if you look at your business and your organization and how you handle social, a lot of times it starts off as a free-for-all, a land grab, per se, of social's mine. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. What are you doing in social? Stop getting off the Facebook page. That's really how a lot of organizations start. PR thinks it's theirs. Advertising thinks it's theirs. Human resources thinks it's a complete nightmare because their employees are on there talking about things. Customer service thinks they're there. Well, for all intents and purposes, everybody is there. Where else can you say on a single Facebook page that all of those things I just mentioned happen in a single page before it goes below the fold? It's never happened before from a marketing perspective. So in all intents and purposes, it can't be a land grab. It can't just be PR that owns it or HR that owns it. It needs to be more of a collective approach. So you look at, let's use Dell as an example. Everybody likes to use Dell, but they have been the ones that have been promoting their 6-year evolution more than any other company. And they went from Dell hell, where they're like, oh my goodness, what's this social thing? And everybody's talking about our computers blowing up, to bringing it all together, completely a single task force, closed task force, to a hub and spoke, to now, in the past couple of years, they've been pushing it out to the rest of the organization, and everybody owns it, because everybody's been through their certification process, everybody's on the same page. So governance is a really fascinating way of looking at your organization and social maturity. Another fun one that I like looking at, because we're probably going to get the 30-second mark, is content marketing. Content marketing from and if you look at content in general, from a maturity, it starts off as you're not doing anything in social and you're just doing push advertising with no extensions into the social space. And once upon a time, there was no extensions into the digital space. How many of you remember for several years back, Ford did this really fantastic commercial with Kermit the Frog in it and forgot to buy the keywords for Kermit, or for green, or for any of those things. And I think their competitors ended up buying it, and it was a missed opportunity. It's the same thing for social. There's so many times that advertisers are creating these great campaigns and forgetting to do the social extensions, but for the ones who remember the social extensions, it's huge. But that's a perfect example of content and how it moves throughout that maturity, and how really at the other end, the aspirational piece is they can monetize their content. Red Bull, another great example. They did such a great job with their content that now they sell it. A fantastic example. Not many of us will ever achieve that, but it's certainly something fantastic to aspire to. So those are just 2 examples of the 6 or 7 things that we take a look at as we help organizations move through the social maturity cycle.
Okay, Adam?
Sure. So quick poll, just want to know who my audience is. How many of you are with small businesses, 0 to 20 employees? Okay, that's actually really helpful. 0 to 50 or 100? Large companies, what you would consider larger companies? B2B, raise your hand. And B2C? Okay, that's great. That really helps me. So as Art mentioned, I lead social media at Cox Communications. And for those of you that may not know, Cox is, I guess we're the 3rd largest cable company, your friendly neighborhood cable company. Privately held, about $9 billion in revenue, 20,000 employees. We serve both the residential and the business markets, and we do that across 20 states across the country. So we're not national in footprint like maybe Comcast is, or certainly DirecTV, but we compete against these very deep-pocketed competitors. When you think about AT&T, Verizon, and Fios, DirecTV, as I mentioned, and so forth. So it's obviously a market share battle. I'm going to probably focus most of my time on the B2B space, particularly small business, because it seems like that's the majority of the group, but I'm not going to ignore the rest of you. So I've been at Cox for 1.5 years now, and previously I was leading social media at CNN, kind of like when social got off the ground. And I'm actually really glad that I came from that content experience because when you think about it, what are people engaged mostly around in social? What are they talking about? They're talking about the news, they're sharing content, they're talking about what is the water cooler, right? So starting with a news brand like CNN really helped me understand the way content is used. And then now I'm at Cox where we have access to all the best content. Just to give you an example, on the consumer side, we did content social media partnerships in the past year with some of the best social content that you probably would find, like Walking Dead on AMC, True Blood, Game of Thrones, Dexter, Homeland, the Olympics. So you think about where entertainment and where people's passion is, right? And so much of it is about entertainment. It's sexy, it's fun, and let's face it, most people hate their cable company, right? They just do. It's a fact of life. But the good news is that I've got all the best toys to play with, so I can use these toys. Say, you might not love us all the time, but what I can do is leverage these great partnerships that we have with our programmers and our content partners to bring you closer to the content you love. So let me take a step back. Let's start from the very beginning and check out a couple of the tweets I posted right before I got here. First of all, social media starts with passion. If you are not passionate about your business and what you do, no one else is going to care. I can't tell you how many times when I meet with people and there might be in transition or, hey, look at my resume, and I say, I don't understand what it is that what do you do? Well, kind of hoping you would figure that out for me, right? You have to be passionate. You have to tell your story. So I don't care if you're a big company, small company, B2B, B2C. You have to have the passion. Second of all, people really overthink this stuff. People really should think about, brands need to be human, right? We need to act like humans. And as Teresa talked about, we really operate as a partnership between customer care, public affairs, and marketing. I lead the effort out of marketing. My job every day is to kind of keep us grounded. It's not about, we apologize and are working around the clock to restore it's like no one wants to talk to a press release. We want to talk to people. So start with, hey, I'm sitting down, Art and I are having a conversation, and what is it that I want to tell you? And that's where I think social media really shows the power. It's about brands as humans, brands as storytellers. Certainly content on the consumer side is easy when you have great content like Walking Dead and Homeland. On the B2B side, it's a little bit harder, isn't it? It's like, what do I talk about? And I tweeted out a link to some great sites that really talk a lot about where to find content, how to develop content, how to become social. So check that out. And in the meantime, what I want to mention on the B2B side is, since I was here last year, we launched our B2B blog called Cox Blue. And if you were to go to that blog and check it out, it's all original content. We're working with great contributors that you would recognize. We decided to not go let's regurgitate stuff that's out there. Let's come up with our own. And there's very little mention of Cox Business on there. In fact, we aren't trying to necessarily sell you, although we do have a partnership, emerging partnership with HubSpot that, we're looking to develop a relationship. That relationship will be developed over time with over Google+, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, but the content hub is our blog. And no matter how big a business you are, you probably have something important to say. And certainly in a B2B space, blogging is a great way to start. So I want to give you guys plenty of opportunity to ask questions and talk more about this, but that's where I wanted to kind of start.
Actually, there are several questions that are coming in through the Twitter feed. So
Great.
this one is from Lauren Pardot and has been retweeted twice. One from Where to Start and Go Wonder Fish. And the question for you, Adam, is, I wonder if cereal connoisseur at Adam Nade agrees that Honey Graham O's are the most underrated cereal.
I like Honey Graham O's. It's cereal. Matter of fact, I like Honey Nut Cheerios now with oat clusters. I don't know if you've tried that one. I love talking about cereal as an analogy for social because my persona in the social space is about social media and cereal. And these guys have heard it so much. We've spoken before. We play fantasy football together. But, I think what I like to say is that, my passion is cereal, and I express that, and people connect with me on it. I was telling the story last night. People they just randomly tweet me their pictures of cereals. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of bizarre. And it's like, what does that have to do with, but when you think about it, it's passion, right? It's a group of people. We are aligning around passion. And when you think about why do people love it, it reminds you of your childhood. You reminisce. It's fun, right? So, you think about find something you love to do. And that's a great way to learn and use social media. That's how I learned social. I started on, someone's advice was, hey, well, what do you like? What do you care about? Like cereal? Like, okay, we'll start with that. Kind of took on a life of its own. Did I answer the question?
So, before we go into that, something else to think about as you are maturing as an organization is something that anybody can do, any size organization that's in this audience right now, is any cereal company, I am surprised they are not knocking down your door, and I'm sure they are, in terms of he's an influencer, Adam's an influencer in the space. He's an advocate for certain brands. There's great statistics out there, and I wish Satmetrics would update their stats, but they had one for a couple of years ago around the revenue that's generated from advocates and how, from a valuable customer perspective, how much more valuable an advocate in the digital space is and how much revenue they generate in terms of the other consumers that they identify and they share this particular product or cereal and get them to buy it as well. And so that's something easy that you can do now in terms of looking about who's talking about your brand. There's all sorts of great tools and free tools for that. Just do a Google search or go search on Twitter. Right. But then also from a keyword perspective, if you're a cereal brand, search on cereal and see who's talking about cereal today. And then, yes, there was a mention of Clout Score before, and we've, there you are, hi. And we were just talking about how Clout Score is a great place to start in terms of seeing who has the best reach. But then you need to look at who's relevant to your brand and who's actually resonating. Beware of the teenage overshare. And then who's resonating with their audience, which Adam very much resonates with his audience. And then reach out to those people, and they are your best sales force. For you B2C companies out there, talk to your B2B counterparts because they get this. They get how to segment their sales force and how to go after them.
I posted on that same link about tools. There's some great tools that allow you to help you follow the people that you really should be caring about and then get them to follow you back, right? That's important. I am most proud of the fact that last year Captain Crunch decided to follow me, okay? And you think about social media gave Captain Crunch a voice. He's actually more influential than I am. He's got a Clout Score in the 70s, which is actually really, really good. And it's like, you take like these mascots and these characters and how brands as humans, right? Anything can become human, but now he has a voice and he's tweeting as he was, if he was a human. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying to you is all of you your businesses are not these amorphous brands, regardless of what you do. Be helpful, be useful, and help people, do what they do better.
So a couple of things. There were a lot of B2B hands that came up when Adam asked, and you also need to find out where your audience is. Your audience may not be on Twitter. That's right. It probably, most definitely will not be on Facebook. Your audience is probably sitting on LinkedIn. Your audience is probably sitting in forums and communities, but your audience may be local or hyper-local, depending on the size of your business and who you're trying to reach. And you may have also a very physical aspect to your business. In other words, face-to-face meetings with people is critical to you conducting business. You need to figure out how to integrate that in. You need to figure out how to integrate what social fits and works well for you with a physical presence and how they work together. There are a lot of examples of big corporations that are really desperately trying to figure this out right now. Look at Audi. Audi, there was a whole article about Audi. They're trying to figure out, because their physical presence does not equate to the brand experience, what the brand experience is expected. So they're redesigning all of their showrooms in the United States right now because the physical is not matching up with the social or the digital or the brand. So you got to think about that as a B2B player or a B2C player as well. So make sure you look at the right audience locations. And I can tell you right now, LinkedIn is going off the charts. They are, for a B2B professional side of your life, LinkedIn is the place to play. There's a lot of activity there. I haven't seen so much activity going on in all the times I've been on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for years. But in the last 12 months, LinkedIn has really skyrocketed.
Okay, I think our time is up. We have a text question that we did not get to, but we will address it via Twitter. And there was a last serial question for you, Adam, that we will also address.
Anyone who has any questions about cereal or social media, just tweet me here, and I promise I'll respond.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.